Thanks for taking another knowledge break with Dr. Canute White. Yeah, take coffee break, lunch break. Yeah, doesn't hurt taking a little break, right? A knowledge break. You can expand on it. Yes, that's what we do here. That's what we ask you to do. That's what I ask you to do on on this knowledge break, right? Um, just hear me out, and take note of what I'm saying, learn a little, and go and expand on it. Do some research to fully understand what I've talked about. But look, just let's ignite ideas together. That's important. And again, what I'm doing in this series, I basically taking this from a coordinated response to child abuse and neglect, the foundation and practice by Goldman, and Wolcott Kennedy, 2003. Go and look it up now. Find the book and do some reading. Right, I'll be talking, about the work of these guys and other scholars. They're my source. Look, let's ignite ideas together as we look at factors that contribute to child abuse and neglect. And we're on part three here. It's critical that we understand some of these factors so that we can predict whether or not parents are highly likely, particular parents are highly likely to abuse or their children or be neglectful. And these factors came out of research and some serious research, and I might be able to give you some statistics later on throughout the series as we look at factors that may cause child abuse and neglect. Yes, we're going to ignite ideas together, right? We're going to ignite ideas together. Look, we're looking now at child factors, and some of these child factors are very, very important. And remember to subscribe to Canute Exploration on the Canute Exploration podcast channel on YouTube. And yes, you'll find some of these knowledge break on Apple Podcast. Yes, let's look at the child factor, and the age of the child is critical. Yeah, when it comes to the prediction of child abuse, because scholars are saying the relationship between the child's age and the maltreatment, yeah, it's not clear cut and may differ by a number of things, and we must understand that may be differed as it relates to maltreatment, the type of maltreatment, But in 2000, for example, according to scholars, the rate of documented maltreatment was highest for children between birth and 3 years old. Yes, 15.7 victims per 1,000 children of this age, according to scholars, in the population, and decline as age increase. This whole maltreatment decline. So as we go past three, they are saying the incident of maltreatment decline. I don't know. You perhaps would want to give your own insight on the reason for that. All right. Look, but the inverse relationship between age and maltreatment is, according to them, really strong for neglect, but not as evident for other types of maltreatment, such as physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. Infants and young children, according to scholars, due to their small physical size, early developmental status, and the need for constant care, can be particularly vulnerable to child maltreatment. Interesting. But the work of scholars also reveal that very young children are more likely to experience certain forms of maltreatment, such as shaken baby syndrome. You can look at that, research that shaken baby syndrome and non-organic failure to strive. And we consider that before it relates to psychological maltreatment and the impact that can have as it relates to failure to strive. look that up as well. But teenagers, according to scholars and the other, are at greater risk for sexual abuse. Look, we look at the age as it relates to likelihood of maltreatment, but there's a thing called disability. Disabilities can be a factor as it relates to whether or not a child is highly likely to be abused. And the scholars are saying that children with physical, cognitive, and emotional disabilities appear to experience higher rates of maltreatment than other children. According to the studies, yeah, a study that has been completed in 1993 found that children with disabilities were 1.7 times more likely to be maltreated than children without disability. Very interesting. To date, according to the authors, the full degree of which disabilities precedes are a result of maltreatment is unclear. So you find that there are a lot of things that are basically unclear. But in general, children who are perceived by the parents as different, yes, or who have special needs, including children with disabilities, as well as children with chronic illnesses or children with difficult temperament, may be at risk of maltreatment. Yes, the scholars continue to talk about it, and they said that the demand of caring for these children may basically stress parents. Yes, but disruption may basically happen in the bonding or attachment process, which is understandable if parents would go that route. Particularly if children are unresponsive to affection, or if children are separated by frequent hospitalization. Yes, going to the hospital too often, then this sort of a bonding with caregiver parents, according to scholars, has been depleted and may cause a challenge as it relates to neglect and abuse. But children with disabilities also may be vulnerable to repeated maltreatment because they may not understand that the abusive behavior are inappropriate, and they may be unable to escape or defend themselves in abusive situation. That's interesting. But scholars look at other child characteristics as it relates to the likelihood of children being abused or neglected. And while some studies suggested that infants born prematurely or with low birth weight, may be at increased risk for maltreatment, other studies do not. Relationship between low birth weight, that is, and maltreatment may be attributable to higher maternal stress heightened by high caregiver demand. But it also, in my mind, and some of the scholars, may be related to poor parental education about low birth weight, lack of accessible parental care, and other factors such as, yes, as we talked about before, substance abuse and domestic violence. But very, very interesting, very, very interesting. But I'd like to consider now environmental factors. Yes, we look at the child factors, the family factor, and so on. What are the environmental factors that can contribute to child abuse and neglect? Highly likely that parents in this environment will be abusers, child abusers, or neglectful. We can look at some of these factors because it's important to understand that environmental factors are often found in combination with parents, family, and child factors. Yes, as highlighted before we talk about. But environmental factors include poverty, yes, poverty, and there are a number of things we talk about before as it relates to that. But let's look at environmental factors such as poverty and unemployment, because poverty and unemployment show a strong association with child maltreatment. particularly according to scholars, neglect. The NIS3 study, look it up, NIS3 study, for example, found that children from families with annual income below 15,000 in 1993 were more than 22 times, more likely to be harmed by child abuse and the neglect as compared to children from families with annual income that time of 30,000. It is important to underscore, though, that most poor people do not maltreat their children. We know that, right? I mean, no doubt about that. But however, poverty, yes, poverty, particularly when interacting with abuse and the social isolation, may increase the likelihood of maltreatment. Studies, they are saying in 1999, 85% of states identified poverty and um, substance abuse as the top two problems challenging families reported to Child Protective Services, CPS agencies. And it's critical for us to understand that, it's very critical as we look at environmental factors that affect or guide child abuse, and we can under environmental factor look at also at social isolation. We touched upon that a little before in previous episode, and social support. Some studies indicate that compared to other parents who maltreat their children report experiencing greater isolation. Yes, more loneliness and less social support. Well, social isolation may contribute to maltreatment because parents have less material and emotional support. Family not supporting family. Think about it. Do not have positive parenting role model. Nobody to show them how to parent outside of the family, and feel less pressure to conform to conventional standard of parenting. Sort of so who care. But it is not clear, however, whether social isolation in some cases precedes and serves as a contributing factor to maltreatment, or whether, according to scholar, it is a consequence of the behavioral dynamics changes of maltreatment. A mouthful. But look, violent communities, critical that we understand that as well as an environmental factor. Yes, violent communities, children living in dangerous neighborhood. Yes, children living in dangerous neighborhood have been found to be at higher risk, according to studies, than children from safer neighborhood for severe neglect and physical abuse, as well as child sexual victimization. Some risk may be associated with the poverty found in dangerous neighborhood. However, according to scholars, concerns remain that violence may seem an unacceptable response or behavior to individuals who witness it more frequently. So it's a learned behavior. Well, scholars are saying that, but look, we can consider it like that, but look, societal attitudes and the promotion of violence in cultural norms and the media have been suggested as risk factors for physical abuse. What do you think? But in addition, the author said, while the research is controversial, some studies show a positive relationship between televised violence and aggressive behavior, particularly for individuals who watch substantial amount of television. Yes, thanks for taking another knowledge break with Dr. Canute White. We're going to talk more now, and we are going to talk more about some of these factors. We're going to talk more about some of these factors, but yeah. Thanks for taking a knowledge break with the Dr. Canute White. Goodbye.